What just happened? We started off all excited being here. Some of you maybe even excited for the rain this morning because we know the ground needs it. Coming in here knowing it's Palm Sunday. We get palms. We get to take something home. I can fidget with something now during the homily. I mean, you know that we're participating in Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. Jesus who's going to fulfill the prophecies that the Messiah is going to come in riding on a donkey. And people are so excited. They're claiming Hosanna, which means give us salvation. What are they desiring to be saved from? As our own ground is desiring to be saved from the dryness, it's thirsting for this rain. What are God's people thirsting for, desiring to be saved from? Back then, they were seeking to be saved from the oppression of the Romans, the oppression of just a very difficult life. But all of us, throughout all time, we're all thirsting to be saved from our sin, to be saved from evil. And so we celebrate because here comes God, who became man to conquer sin, to set us free. And just a few days later, or for us, just a few minutes later, what happened? Jesus is now on the cross. Dead. Taken down from the cross. Put in a tomb. What do you think Mary, his mother, was thinking? What happened? Now, I'm not saying she wasn't aware. Instead, it's she knew what was coming and she couldn't stop it. And even in the midst of the great joys, Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, just a few days later, it's still how quickly it got so bad. I'd like to tell you a story about Julie. It's the name of my mom, but this has nothing to do with my mom. It's just a story I made up. Julie is married. Her husband is deployed. She's at home raising two of her kids. She's got a young daughter, the oldest, who's 5 years old, very bright, one who likes to kind of be everywhere and wants to help out. If something seems to be out of place, she's going to put it in place. If her younger brother, who is 3, is playing with stuffed animals or whatever, and the stuffed animal falls over, she runs over, sets it back up. She's observant and helpful. Her younger brother, 3 years old, like I said, also very observant, doesn't say much at all. Very few words has he ever uttered. Kind of an odd character, and yet very observant. So some of the adults are kind of worried about him, worried for his parents, not quite sure what to think. And the two, maybe because the older daughter is always like in everyone's space, the two don't always get along. Julie then needs a reprieve. We live in a small town, but this small town's got a petting zoo. Let's go to the petting zoo. Let's go. Just get them outside, and it was just a good day. Seeing her younger son interact with the animals, and again, his observances, right? And so her watching him, like certain things clicking for him. Seeing the great smile as some of the animals eat from his hand, just his little 3-year-old hand. Him and his sister are getting along really, really well. It's just a good day. And they come home in time for lunch. She goes inside to make lunch. And the kids are just playing nicely in the dirt out in the front yard. Our boy doesn't say much, but all of a sudden she hears him sounding like one of the animals at the petting zoo. Now they're playing zoo. And so she's preparing lunch, and then she hears the screech of tires and a thump, and her heart sinks. And she runs outside and sees the worst scene ever. Her boy lying under a car. And the driver getting out, running around. Mom, Julie, just runs forward. Sister nowhere to be found until Mom starts running. Then Sister's little 5-year-old legs catching right up there next to Mom because she knows something is wrong. And they get out, and she picks up her boy just beside herself. What just happened? We're having such a good day. This couldn't have happened. And her daughter, again, very observant, wants to be able to fix things, can't sit her brother upright, but knows how to call 911. So stands up and bolts back to the house. Roger is on his way to a lunch meeting. Not in a hurry, but it's a very important lunch meeting. And he sees ahead the accident. And again, his heart sinks into his gut, and his gut just sinks even further. But he can't stop. There's nothing he can do. The driver is out, and they're working on stuff. He's already on the phone with 911. And so he's not in a hurry, but he takes his foot off of the gas, rests it off to the right side. And as he's passing the car, that's when the daughter runs out. And her face hits the headlights. And by the time Roger's able to react and bring his foot from the resting position to the brakes and press the brakes, the tire's already over her. And her mom sees it all. What just happened? Overwhelmed with grief and shock, she faints. She's out. She wakes up in a hospital, kind of confused, groggy, trying to get her bearings. Where am I? And she starts to remember, today was a good day. Remembers the sound of her son making animal noises, and then instantly sees her son in her arms, the memory. What happened? And then the image of her daughter. How am I going to tell their dad? Why would this happen? And that's never a good question in times of tragedy. Instead, what we need to ask is, where, God, are you? Because God sent his son Jesus not to explain away the suffering, but to enter into it. Where, God, are you? I'm right here, suffering with you. I know what it's like. I saw it coming. And I, like you need to do too, go through it. We can't ignore it. We can't push it aside. We can't give up. We're going to go through it together. I am with you. And you are not strong enough. I am the one who will conquer the suffering, who will conquer the death, who will rise again, and you, if you remain with me through this, you will be resurrected as well. Stay with me. Whatever it is you've experienced throughout life, the joys and the uncontrolled sufferings, corporate layoffs, having to move to a different state, which might as well seem like a different country, teenager gets pregnant, finds out kind of late in the pregnancy, and then just a couple weeks later after that, still trying to adjust to what life's going to be like, experiences severe pains and finds out she miscarries, now has to go through another change. The things that we sometimes see coming, sometimes don't see coming, and it just keeps getting worse. What do we do with that? We lean into God. We don't ask why, we ask, where are you? Because God did not come to explain away the suffering. He came to enter into it and to conquer it. But that doesn't mean we won't go through it. That's not what conquering means. It means that we get to go through it. And with God, come out on the other end, truly alive. This doesn't fully happen until heaven, which means we can't give up. Mary, the Blessed Mother, standing at the foot of the cross, asking what just happened, did not give up. Was there with the apostles, praying with them as they all came back from their state of fleeing. And they all, because they came back, got to encounter the risen Lord, truly triumphant, allowing us to stop clinging to the passing things, no matter how good they are, no matter who they are, and cling only to Jesus, who has come to set us free.